My name is Dylan Lane. I've been on Instagram for a long time. This is my first time exhibiting at a show. Back end here is my most recent and also one of my biggest projects. It's one of the first instructions I've made also.
You can see this massive instruction booklet sitting on the table here. So you made those instructions and actually have printed out the entire thing.
Yes. And so it's going to be available online, but that's an example of the book. So you can see how massive it is.
It's very impressive that you actually printed the whole thing out as well here. And you can kind of see the Lego style step-by-step instructions.
Yeah.
But then for the build itself, take us through kind of the building process, some of the details here.
Sure. So what you're seeing here is actually the second draft of the build. Like picture an essay or something. I basically rewrote the whole essay. After the first build, I took it into Bricklink Studio and improved upon it there, revised it, and rebuilt this whole thing. And that process also allowed me to make the instruction booklet. I got a lot of requests for it, so that really is the main reason that I wanted to make those instructions.
This is a fantastic build here. So John's showing the back. We can talk about that now as well. What are some of the interior rooms and details on the back?
Yeah, this build is actually pretty much scaled and designed around the interior. So, like when I was starting this build, I'd seen there's a lot of bag end mocks out there, but most of them are just the exterior. So I wanted to try to make an interior that was movie accurate, showed all those little details, and minifig scale. The rooms are on a hinge because I wanted to get that like curvy hallway kind of look of the interior of the Hobbit holes. And so really the whole exterior is shaped around that.
And then on top, you've got this fantastic tree. What are some of the parts you use to make that?
Sure, yeah. There's a lot of snot bricks inside of it to give it some structure. And from there, I used a lot of bars for the leaves. So I could put them on angles, whatever I want, make big clumps. There's also some branches that curve. And for those, I used Travis bricks, studs on all sides, and kind of like made this weaving pattern with plates so that I could bend it around.
Yeah, it looks great. Kind of a mixture of the small leaves with the bigger pieces as well. So kind of gives a very condensed look as well.
Right. I was going for a thick look, a variety of leaves. I like the 3-leaf pieces and leaves and trees.
And you've got a great mixture of the different kind of greens that Lego has made here. So that kind of adds some variety. It's not just all the same color.
Right. I was picturing the colors in terms of what the movies look like, I guess, and what sunlight looks like when it's hitting trees. So I wanted the colors to kind of encapsulate the light itself.
How many pieces are in this build?
8,000 to 9,000. Yep. It's comparable to the UCS Millennium Falcon set.
So if Lego ever made you like a UCS Millennium Falcon scale, exactly. Hobbit set.
Yeah, if that ever happened, which it won't, I picture it looking like this.
It's extremely impressive. Another thing that really catches my eye here is all of the different angles. So it's kind of like studs going all directions here. So what is that kind of internal structure like in terms of being able to attach all of that?
Right, that was important to me, that I make it very organic and all smooth and connected. It was very difficult though. Thoughts I have on that are, like, I wonder what other people do when they build, if they start really with the outside pieces or the inside structure. So I kind of did a bit of both when I was building this. Some parts I built the inside structure first, some I built backwards from the outside.
Well, I think either way it turns out great in the end. You also have that black base, so is that just a bunch of plates kind of wedged together?
It is, yes. This is something I've seen a few other people do, but usually not as a base like this. Like one person, for example, is brick bending, someone based in Portland who makes geometric shapes, big geometric shapes. So I took some inspiration from his work.
Yeah, the brick bending. Yeah, his work is incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice. Well, that's a great build, but you've got a few other fantastic builds on display, so I think we've got some Batman-inspired stuff. What is this?
Yep, these are both Batman here. Different styles, though. On the left, I was going for a perspective scene, forced perspective, to put you in the shot. And also, I was trying to imitate the style of the animated series from the 90s. I love that show, and particularly how they would, the art style for the backdrops of the show, I think they would use construction paper, painted or something like that, and it just looked really gritty and kind of like a real piece of paper you're looking at. So that's what I was going for with that.
I love the way you did the Batman's cape as well on the figure there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I kind of scaled it up from a minifigure to go with the forced perspective.
And then what's next to that?
Yeah, this other creation it's based on The Killing Joke, the comic and the movie, animated movie. And it's essentially the origin story of the Joker. It was inspired by the movie. I'm more of a movie watcher than a comic reader, so that's where I went to first. And it's two scenes. So I was thinking about it more as a story than just a Lego model, a typical Lego model. So I wanted to show kind of the direction that he's going in. And the whole theme in The Killing Joke is about like a stereotypical descent into madness, the Joker. And so I try to capture like how he's falling into the vat, a theme of falling, I guess.
And then next to that, what is happening?
Right, so that scene isn't quite as iconic as the first, but you see it in the movie and the comic book. He comes out of a pipe outside of the chemical plant, and it's like a metamorphosis, like coming out of a cocoon kind of. The acid dyes his hair green for that iconic Joker look. So I try to capture that. I used a different hairpiece than normal to try to show that his hair is like wet and dripping from the acid.
That works really well, and using like the large antenna pieces to have the acid dripping down, even just kind of like the branches and the pipes on the sides to create that industrial look.
Right, that's what I was going for. Very, the mood of Batman captured, but industrial, realistic also, very detailed. The pipes seem to be a detail that most people notice. One of the first things that people notice.
And then you've got microscale versions as well. Did you just build those for fun, or?
Yeah, I built that after the main models, just for fun, really. It's 1/6 scale, and also another purpose of that is small enough to make instructions for, maybe even kits. I don't know, in the future.
As cool as the Hobbit build is, the microscale is a little more available to people.
More manageable, affordable. Yeah.
So we'll keep moving down the line then. What's this next build?
Sure, this one is based on Twin Peaks, a TV series from the 90s. It's a little more niche, but I'm glad to find out that more people know about it than I thought. Seeing people at this Brick World come by, there's a good crowd. But anyway, this scene right here is called the Black Lodge, aka the Red Room, and it's this kind of trippy, supernatural scene in the show that's like a transition between the normal world and the supernatural stuff going on. Kind of reminds me of Stranger Things. It's like the waiting room into the dream state, and I thought that was an interesting concept.
I love the way you did the red walls there with kind of adding some different texture using different elements in the background.
Thank you. I like to joke that instead of rock work, it's curtain work.
And it looks great. What is the floor made out of there?
The floor is made out of tiles on their side, so kind of the cheese slope mosaics that you see a lot. And they're held in place with tiles over top just to cover up the edges. You can see that in a lot of other contexts and other builds too.
Are the minifigures, are there any custom elements there, or is that all standard Lego elements?
Yes, this is what I think you'd call a fig barf. They're all Lego elements, so purist customs, if you will.
What are some of the different parts you used with those?
Yeah, I mean, I used what I had, but I also looked through the Bricklink catalog. I'm a big brick linker, so I'll look up, different torsos and whatnot.
Very nice. And then the final build here, what does this represent?
Yes, this one is more of an autobiographical build as opposed to a lot of other stuff I like are from films. This was inspired by a trip to Lake Huron. Yep. I mean, growing up, I'm from the Grand Rapids area, so growing up in Michigan, you see a bunch of beaches. That's basically what I wanted to capture with this build. But specifically, Lake Huron, I thought the rocky landscape was interesting. And I thought it would make a little more of an original Lego build as opposed to a normal tan beach. So that's why I included all these rocks. I made them bigger as it goes down.
Yeah, that works really well there, and I love the whole landscaping you've done and kind of that top layer of elements that creates the rocks and the sand mixture.
Right. Another key feature about that is I tried a technique using nets, putting plates around them with circle studs to actually fit the plates into the nets, and then from there you can just bend them however you will. And I've seen that a few times from other builders, but I kind of tried to repurpose it here and fit it with this landscape.
And you've put on a tree workshop, landscaping workshop here with these different varieties, so point out some of the different elements you use there.
Yeah, to put it short, 2 of these trees I kind of recycled from common techniques. Those would be the more pine-looking trees. But 2 of them I think are pretty fresh. I did a lot of experimenting with those. That would be the lime-colored tree and the bright green-colored tree. A key technique that I was very excited about is in the bright green-colored tree, I used 5 flex tubes, and I discovered that they fit into the area of a 1x1 brick, and they lodged in place nicely, and it's sturdy, so I was really excited about that.
Well, all of these builds are fantastic here. Thank you so much for all the work you put into bringing these out to Brickworld. And you said this is your first show, right?
First time exhibiting, that's right.
Wow. What has your experience been like at Brickworld Detroit here?
It's good. It's very exciting. Lots of people enthusiastic about the builds. Yeah. Very good experience.
Very cool. And for people who want to see more of your work online, where can they check that out?
Right. I have just started a Linktree recently. I'm most active, though, on Instagram. Also use Flickr, but more active on Instagram. And I try to include my links to go between places. So.
Okay. We'll make sure to put a link to Instagram in the description of this video so people can check out your stuff on there. Yeah, thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.